Thanks for those making it here. We've started our first stream. The goal of this is to help you guys understand a bit about the company, what's going on, and also an opportunity to listen to you, hear your feedback, your wants, because GameTree to us isn't just a normal company. It's a really strong vision. And even the company structure allows us to maximize for not just money, but also for you guys, our community, and to build something that everybody will really appreciate in a way that's actually illegal for other companies to do that have to make decisions based strictly on profit and fiduciary duty to investors. So when you combine this, it means that your feedback actually really is important because that's a lot of why we're doing this. And also this is an opportunity for us to be more transparent because at the end of the day, we're sort of a data company. And it's important that you have a say in the company, that you know what's going on, because the world right now is moving away from data, and we'd really like to utilize this for the power of good, because with sharing our data and being open about this stuff, like the whole world opens up and we have opportunities for much better services. And with GameTree, it's about personalized discovery. It's about understanding you, your tastes, your needs, all of that, and helping you discover the best people that'll be the best friends or people to play games with, the coolest games in the whole world for you personally. So without further ado, happy November 1st, and getting into the company news. First off is that we brought on a designer, Arena, and she's really good. She's loves games, really enjoys just designing in general, and she's a good illustrator. So we'll be updating and unifying a lot of the art that you see throughout the app. Keep in store for more cool badges and gamification and whole new web layouts and everything coming out for the future. Another thing is that we have upcoming an article for analyzing personality psychology. We might even be publishing it on web and print, but either way it'll at least be a blog post. So if there's certain kinds of stuff that you want to see in regards to analyzing personalities and the psychologies and gaming, let us know. You can message your druids or admins in the app or just post them here in the chat. Hey Vlad, what up? So next up is Web Summit. It's the biggest tech conference in the world, and GameTree is going to be there. If you're going, feel free to say hi. You can message us, help@gametree.me to get through easily, or just message us on Facebook. And on Thursday will be our next stream. For this, we're going to do it weekly at the same time every week. And that's the same day that we're actually going to have a booth at Web Summit, so hopefully we'll have a lot of cool updates and news, things we're learning, and some business activities to report then. So an unveiling for the next feature is, ready for it? Personalized reviews. I'm going to share you just a little sample of what this is about to look like, and it'll be starting to roll out next week. So you can see here, we essentially are scraping all of the reviews from around the internet, different specialists who write about games professionally, and we're linking those to like fictitious GameTree users. And then based on how they analyze games and their tastes and how they rate games, when you're discovering and looking at games, we'll actually link you up with the most relevant reviews. For example, Red Dead Redemption 2 right now has about 95, 100 reviews. We've scraped all of those. And then when you look up Red Dead Redemption in our database, we'll show you the top review out of those 100 for you personally that would be the most similar to your tastes and your opinions on a lot of correlated things and understanding your DNA and the DNA of the game and of the author. So this is a really cool feature that I've never seen anybody do, but I think will set a precedent for how research and information is done in the future. And this is made possible by you guys just using the app and helping us with that. So we're really happy to bring this service to you. You can see here, they have a title. We can also write reviews in the app. And so you could link to an external review if it's a blog post or YouTube or another news site, or you can actually be able to write the reviews in the app. And this is where your opinions especially matter more than anywhere else, because let's face it, if you go on Yelp, like you're just another noise. If you go on Amazon, it's not that special. But when you write a review on GameTree, you're actually going to get it sent as a priority review to the people with the most similar relevant taste to yours. So you're actually super impacting and helping these kinds of people. So you can see here that you could put in a title, it could be an external link, or you can have a body or both. It shows the rating that you give something. These are just the sample mockups, but these will be rolling out next week. And then this will especially be useful on the web as well, because I know most of us do a lot of our game research on the web. And here it's really important to get good reviews, because all of us have spent huge amounts of money and time, not just researching games, but downloading the wrong games. So the idea here is to minimize that and to help you just have better information about discovering games. Now, a really big side effect of this in creating this sort of world-class tool about helping people understand games and decisions about games is indie games. Indie game developers, the hardest challenge is finding the right customers, and through our machine learning and matching people and being able to trust the reviews that you're reading allows indie game developers to be able to finally find the right audiences for their game, the biggest challenge. And so if you're an indie game developer, have any indie game developer friends, or want to support GameTree and share this, tell them to submit their games, and there'll be a link to that in the description here, where they could submit the games via a form and then just share it a little bit with their fans, because we need to understand the DNA, and the machine learning needs data to be able to recommend the game to the right people. But overall, as this scales, this unlocks a really big opportunity to democratize game discoverability. So you don't need a AAA marketing budget to finally be able to be successful as a game developer without just being super lucky. So the idea is to flatten the curve here, democratize things so that everybody can share in the pie and do game design, create tons of games, and all of us can enjoy that sort of content and find our hidden gems that we'd otherwise never know about, or even just trust enough to actually buy. So you can see here as well that it's going to be pretty sophisticated. We're not only going to show a predicted rating, but we're going to show a GameTree average rating, a Metacritic rating, so you can see what the critics think. You can see what Steam or Board Game Geek are thinking. So this will be like the ultimate research tool. Also, if you have a game that you want to submit, or that you've been looking to play but isn't in our database yet, we try to cover everything, but you could actually submit games as well. And again, it's at the link below, but it'll be gametree.me/app/submit-game. So really excited to bring that feature out to you, and hopefully this becomes the gold standard for game research. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to interrupt me. Hey, Furious Eagle. Can't remember what. Oh, yeah. So Igor's here with me, helping me out with the streaming. I'm not used to that. Hey, guys. What is my MBTI type? Okay, so yeah, live Q&A. So according to the 16 personalities system, I'm an ENTJ. And ENTJs are the strategic directors, is what we call them. They tend to be in socionics, known as Jack London, which are kind of pioneers. They have a really strong sense of what they want, and then they go to great lengths to be willing to get it. Lately, I've actually been studying a framework that expands from 16 to 512 personality types, and it's becoming very science-based, so I'm starting to apply a lot more of that thinking. In that type, it's really surprising, but if you want to learn more about it, I would go look up Objective Personality on YouTube or on the web, and you can learn more about this more advanced system. GameTree is really focused on making things really actionable, and the more advanced system, it requires huge amounts of studying to really make it useful. But if you guys have any more questions, feel free to submit them. Otherwise, I'm going to answer some questions that people have submitted ahead of time from the community, the app, stuff like that. So the first up is Infinitarium from the Netherlands asked, how many employees are there in each department, or what is the layout of GameTree like? So there are 12 of us working full-time in GameTree, and 11 of us are in Ukraine. I'm a Californian. I moved here for this. We also have a Turkish guy. And then one person, the only one who's not in Ukraine, Tatiana, who you've probably seen as our main community manager in the app, she lives in Belarus. All of us are in Kiev, except for her, and one guy in the Carpathian Mountains who's looking to move. A few more of us were distributed around Ukraine, but they're all here in the capital of Kiev now as well. It's a really interesting city, really cool. It has a bad rap externally because of revolutions and war and corruption, but it's actually super safe. And a lot of the reason for coming here is because startups are really hard. And here it's a lot more cost effective, and there's a ton of smart people that are otherwise working at outsource companies, and GameTree is a lot more interesting kind of a deal. So it's really easy to recruit really good people that are passionate about this. Furious Eagle, what do you think about Enneagram? So Enneagram is pretty awesome. it's another tool. Even if it's not hard science, it's a really useful philosophical model. For example, in business, you have SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. That's not really science, but businesses use it successfully around the world. Enneagram is something like that. I think it works really nicely with MBTI, or the 16 personalities framework. For 16 personalities, what we teach is the how. Enneagram is the why. And actually, now that you mention it, we do plan to get into Enneagram in the future. It's just we have to start one thing at a time. But how and why go really nicely together. Because you can understand how somebody thinks, and that's what we're doing, but also understanding why they do things makes a really complete picture. So it's good to combine that model. But yeah, Enneagram, check it out if you don't know what it is. But you can take tests and understand life motivations. These things change more over time, unlike the personality types that we use, which are kind of more hard-coded into nature. It's about 50-50 changes, but Enneagram is a lot more fluid. And it's about what are your biggest life desires, usually based on your biggest fears, but it also shows and manifests as how do you express love. Because you express love and give love usually based on how you want it and what you need. So you can get huge amounts of insights when you study and do all the philosophy around that about yourself and other people, and basically how to operate really well and functionally. I do not know about the alignment system though, Furious Eagle. But I'd be interested if you wrote a little bit more and I could research it later, because I'm curious to find the best stuff to share with you guys so that we can have like an enriching community, understand ourselves, and then also be able to use these insights about ourselves to improve our lives and be able to find the best stuff in the world. Continuing on with the red questions. When will we allow adding pictures and not just URLs? A lot of people have asked this. Personally, I want a Facebook for gamers because it's kind of weird to talk about this stuff on Facebook. But for business, it's not a good idea right now because one, it's a slippery slope where to build a social network is really expensive, huge amounts of stuff, and even hosting images is kind of expensive compared to a lot of the text that we're doing. So right now we're focusing on tools, like a game coordination tool could be maybe in the future, or this review system, helping people make friends. So in the long run, we'd like to rebuild a Facebook for gamers, and that includes, of course, uploading images, not just URLs. But for now, that's why we haven't focused on that yet, is because it's a slippery slope. And when we have a foundation of something that's really valuable and that people are using, we can use that to build more of social network features on top of it. But for now, it's not the biggest priority, but hopefully it becomes. The next question that we have is how do we Furious Eagle, if you've seen the memes like lawful neutral, okay, I'll read more into that in the future. So how do we process bugs? First we freak out, and then we log them into Trello, and we have a big bug list that most people don't ever encounter, but they happen. And then we look at the most important bugs, and then we move them and prioritize them into a to-do list, and we try to get about 2 releases every week of GameTree and updates. But in the future, we're going to be implementing a ticketing system so that can track occurrences more, devices, systematize it more as we scale. Another question is what technologies and languages do we use? And again, this is from Infinitarium from Netherlands. Thanks for the question. So we're using React and React Native, so we can use the same code base across different places. We use Node, AWS for image hosting, Vultr for our server, and Firebase for notifications. But we'll be using Firebase more in the future because it allows us to scale the database a lot faster, and Google, who owns it, makes it really well priced. We're also using GraphQL, but we might be removing that because it can allow us to do operations a bit faster, and we'll be going to serverless. So if you're a techie and you understand that you understand a bit more about the tech behind GameTree. How do we optimize for the iPhone X? Alien 2003 asks from Ukraine. Xcode simulator, and also following the Apple guidelines. So when you're programming, you get Xcode, which comes with Apple computers, which is required to make Apple apps, and you can simulate any phone. So we can sort of look and guess and check to make sure that the app works on different screen devices. So Furious Eagle asks, what is my Enneagram? My Enneagram, with Enneagram, a lot of the times people don't have one that stands out, but there might be a few that are sort of tied, unlike the personality types where you're supposed to mostly be one. But again, that's a philosophical framework that could have all sorts of bell curves. My Enneagram is I'm a 1, a 3, and a 7. I have a personal YouTube. If you look up John UK, I'll share it in the link, where I actually have videos psychoanalyzing myself as an ENTJ and as an Enneagram. just for the sake of getting the information out there. I was actually the first ENTJ on YouTube to ever post a self-psychoanalysis that helps other people learn. I met a lot of cool people through, and also is a good way to be like accountable and engage with the community. Enneagram-wise, the 1 is a reformer, which is about having a fear of being evil and then wanting to do a lot of extra good because of that fear. A 3 is an achiever, feeling worthless, so you achieve a lot of stuff and try to do big things in the world to not be worthless. And a 7 is the enthusiast, which is a fear of being trapped in pain. And enthusiasts, they want a lot of variety and stimulation as a way to have distraction from pain. So when you combine those, you get a tri-type known as a system architect, which makes sense with what I'm doing, but essentially people who want to have some big ambitious vision that does good for the world, achieves a lot, and is like entertaining and stuff. So therefore, GameTree is just a child initiated from my crazy psychology and all the people on the team who are making it possible. So cool, INTJ 5 wing 4. Internet is full of the INTJs, and 5s are information savvy. That makes sense. So next one is, when are we going to have night mode? And Daniel from the GameTree team asked this, and we've had this request a lot. We have future designs that we haven't unveiled yet, but they look pretty spiffy. It's going to have a lot more dark in it, so that app won't be so bright, because I know a lot of gamers like the hardcore mode. We're going to be fundraising next year, early next year, and once we've done that, we can slow down on feature development and start polishing, refactoring, and the plan then is to refactor not just the existing app, but also to code it in a way where we can change all the colors super easily, make a night mode, and maybe even make it so you can personalize GameTree to your own tastes and styles. And then a last question that we had submitted from Poziaj Wackman.
This is elderly. Hey guys, so this is elderly Wackman. Pozhaloy is elderly.
Okay. So Igor's the Chief Operating Officer / Chief Marketing Officer of GameTree, and we all wear a lot of hats. So when are we going to have more admins? One thing about the admins is they're all real people. That's probably our most popular question is, are you real? Because we're a startup, we can kind of do this stuff, and it's really important if we're building something for you that we listen to you. And in the future, we could probably have more admins as we have more people standing up from the community, standing out, and if they want to volunteer to be admins and have like special admin privileges, feel free to volunteer or shoot your Druid connection a message or message us at help@gametree.me or Facebook. So the plan to have more admins is hopefully from the community in the future as we grow. We've actually already considered a couple, so we'll sort of need a system for that. The next couple features that we're building are going to lead to a lot more growth and retention, and in general make the app more shareable, because as it's at a stage right now, it's not the most shareable app, but we did that on purpose because it just made sense, the features, the needs that are needed, but it's all about process and stage. So does anybody have any more questions? And the submit game, is it live right now?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
You can show it on your desk.
Cool. So I'm going to share our submit game. Submit game. Cool. Okay, so this is really live. There's 4 of us in the office right now making sure that, I'll show it on Igor's computer. Or do we have to clear the cache? Okay, it works. Okay, so cool. This was really just pushed right now. So you can see here that for indie game developers, or if you want to submit a game into the database that's not there yet, we have a video describing how is this beneficial for indie game developers to get their games discovered without having to spend anything on marketing. And then we just have a form here where you can submit all sorts of stuff. If you can watch this video for us, or submit a game that's maybe not in the database yet, we appreciate feedback. If you want to make some comments or message us anywhere on this video, because we'll probably start, we can always, for the next week before this gets too much view and traction, make some edits. So we have this video describing the indie developers what to do, and also to let their fans know to rate the games so we can understand their DNA and recommend the games to the right people. And then after submitting a game, we have another video that they can share with the fans, telling them exactly what to do to support the game. So happy to show you this. And again, if you're an indie game developer, or even if you want to be a game developer one day, hopefully GameTree will make that a lot more realistic, knowing that you can actually make a living doing your passion, instead of the current world where more and more all of the attention and money is gravitating towards the 1%. due to AAA massive production budgets and monopolies on marketing and sales and just a lot of trends. So GameTree is really trying to look out for all of us and create something that allows us to just live better lives. Yep. So another question. So this will be the last question, and we'll end this stream. So Furious Eagle's asking, what types do you think clash the most with each other? In general, people different from each other, not just in terms of the cognitive functions. Usually we don't go this technical into the MBTI, but people who have not just the opposite order, but also flipped. So for example, what that means is if I'm an ENTJ, on average, I'm going to get along the least with an ESFJ. An INTP would get along the least with an ISFP, because not only do they prioritize different ways of thinking. For example, the ways that they take in information. Are they using the real world, or are they using their imaginations? Not only do they have a different preference order, but even the way they do it is different, where they can't even relate to each other, and it's kind of like aliens. So the challenge is that as people are different, it's harder to communicate, but at the same time, and this is where the best of psychology and growth come in, is that actually, if you can make it work, those are the best people to know, because they can give you the best feedback about yourself from different points of views. And when you're doing stuff, they'll think of totally different stuff. They can be really good partners. They'll enjoy implementing different kinds of things that you might not like to do. And so through the tribe and all of us having different personalities, it's when we can balance and all get along that we're able to have everybody focus on the thing that they love, and all the work naturally kind of gets done. And that's part of why I think that as a species we've been able to make it so far and even have computers and live streaming and games. So kind of with the greatest challenge comes a lot of the greatest opportunities for growth. Yeah, so thanks for that question. And yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying this this first stream, and we'll continue to do these as we go. So yeah, paka guys.